And welcome to Saturn V hull. Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. It's the rocket that took us to the moon, dude.
No way. That's great.
We landed on the moon!
And so we begin this video. Welcome to NASA's Space Camp in Huntsville, Alabama. I drove about 3.5 hours to get here. I have always wanted to stop at the United States Space and Rocket Center. The Rocket Center and Museum is right over here. There is the Saturn V rocket towering over the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. That is the rocket that took the Apollo mission to the moon back in 1969. It's standing right there. And speaking of that, we are going back to the moon. The Artemis is leaving Earth in just a few days. Look at that timing. We're going back to the moon. I've always wanted to go to space camp. It's right here. The space camp. It looks like folks are going in and out of the main building over there. Check out the shape of this building. This is part of the space camp right here. This is gate 18. Also, there's the Challenger Auditorium. I don't know how much of this I'll be able to see, but this is so exciting. Oh, there's kids coming out of space camp right now. Wow, check it out. It's the U.S. Space and Rocket Center bus right there, coming in hot to space camp. It looks like that is the space camp operations building right there, the main office. And real quick, as I'm driving over to the entrance of the Rocket Center, if you want to register for space camp, you can do it right here. Register my children, register my family, register myself. This is for all ages. And right there is the NASA Marshall Institute Education Resource Center, right next to Space Camp Operations. Guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if it's your first time. I am Tampa J, and it's good to be back. If my voice sounds kind of funny, I had a bit of a sinus infection. All better now, but just want to do a disclaimer here. If I sound funny, it's because I'm over it now, but it's still kind of coming out right there. You can hear it. It's kind of crackling. Side note, back to it. Thanks for clicking on these videos, guys. Welcome to February 2026. I hope you all are having a good February so far. Here, 3 days into it, I'm doing well. Besides, wasn't feeling well, but now I'm better. Guys, I am on a little road trip. I am stopping here in Alabama today, here at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. This is a place I've always wanted to go. The history of rockets as far as NASA, as far as space travel, in this building over here. There should be a rocket garden over there. I can see some of them towering. There's a space shuttle over here. We're going to take a look at all of that today. Again, I was saying that we're going back to the moon. Artemis launching off in Florida in a few days. I remember going to Kennedy Space Center when I was a kid, walking through part of the International Space Station back when they allowed you to do that before they launched it out there. I thought that was amazing. I get goosebumps thinking of that. And I went back a couple years ago, having the YouTube channel, exploring NASA was so cool. I have some family that work for NASA. I had some great uncles that worked for NASA. Currently, I have some cousins that are engineers for NASA that worked on the Artemis. So I have a little connection there. I'm very fascinated with space travel, the final frontier, right? A lot of people say, we didn't go to the moon, they faked it. Well, I think we went to the moon. I know we went to the moon. Did we fake some of the footage? That's the question. I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theories. We can go down a rabbit hole, but I think we went to the moon, and I believe we're going back this weekend. Look at that timing. We are here at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center Space Camp. Always wanted to do that when I was a kid, so I thought this would be the perfect startup video for February. And here we are. I hope you enjoy the tour. I purchased my tickets online. I'll put a website in the description below for all the finer details. If you want to stop off here in Huntsville, Alabama, it's right off the interstate. I paid $30 for my ticket, not too bad. I'm anxious to see if it's worth it. I'm sure it is. If you like rockets, if you like NASA, if you like space travel, I think together, you vicariously I think we're going to enjoy this. So I hope you enjoy it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. We're going to head up to the front. There's much ahead. And we begin by walking up to the entrance of the U.S. Space and Rocket Center right here. Check this out. Space shuttle alert. Oh my gosh, that is huge. So this right here is the Pathfinder. It is a full-scale structural test simulator constructed of steel and wood in 1977 to test shuttle infrastructure, handling, and transportation. I'm looking this up online. The mock-up was recently restored and returned to its full stack configuration in 2024. So you could have fooled me. This is just a fake. Now I've seen a real one. Look at that plane coming right over. Look at that timing. Anyways, I've seen a real one at Kennedy Space Center, of course. And here's the entrance. You know how I know that? Well, I'm reading the sign. Space waste. That's neat. Got to show the trash cans. Yeah, there's the photo opportunity right here. That's cool. So here are two monuments to the squirrel monkeys. I believe they were former astronauts, and it looks like people are leaving them bananas. Miss Baker, squirrel monkey, born 1957, died November 29, 1984. First U.S. animal to fly in space and return alive May 28, 1959. And then down here, you have Big George, husband of Miss Baker, died January 8th, 1979, age 16. Dedicated to those whose pioneering spirit inspired generations to explore beyond existing boundaries in a never-ending quest for knowledge. John D. Hare, sculptor. Doesn't really say who the astronaut is. Kind of looks like maybe Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin. He's looking right at us though. It's kind of creepy. Kind of creepy. All right, let's head in there. So I have a time ticket. I forgot about the time difference, but it worked out because I was running a bit behind. My time ticket is at 1 o'clock. It is 12:30. Maybe they'll take us a little early. Check this out. Giant gift shop in the Welcome Center. All right, we're starting off with the merchandise. Check out this space doggy. Kind of looks like Bella. I think Bella needs a spacesuit. All right, this place is a lot bigger than I imagined. We are starting here in the gift shop. Look how big this place is. Wow, we've got a lot to see today. I'm so happy. We've got a lot of NASA merchandise, of course. There's so much stuff to look at. Perhaps we'll look at more on the way out. We always exit through the gift shop. And here we enter as well. U.S. Space and Rocket Center, ticketing ahead. All right, I made it through security. About to walk up to the counter here. I have my ticket ready, the barcode. Again, it was $30, and it looks like once they scan it and get me in, I start the museum right here to the right. All right, here we go through this tunnel. Feature attractions, space craze. Getting a little immersiveness here. Science on orbit. What are these things? These are cool. Got a space dude in here. Oh, we got a huge room here. Space Craze, a space-age journey through pop culture. All kinds of memorabilia here. Of course, I was drawn to the U.S. Enterprise. Check out this old mug here, the Star Trek mug. That's cool. Star Trek cast on transporter pads. Image design concept, 1989. And check out this Star Trek blueprints. The complete set of 12 authentic blueprints. Star Trek spacecraft. And also you got a giant blueprint back there of the U.S. Enterprise. And look at this. It's a photo of the Star Trek original series cast at the unveiling of the Shuttle Test Article Enterprise patch for the Shuttle Test Article Enterprise NASA 1976. Do you recognize these guys? I see everyone but Shatner. Where's Shatner? I don't see Shatner. G.I. Joe official space capsule. Check out this toy. That's cool. Here's the box too. They even got the box. Action figure G.I. Joe. Hasbro 1964. Cabbage Patch Kid. The space doll. That's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. I'm a huge fan of the original Lost in Space series from 1965 to 1968. This one right here, though, this toy is from 1997. I think I remember it. I'm a 90s kid. There's just so much cool stuff to see here. I've got to go right to Buck Rogers, though. Buck Rogers. That's cool. In the cardstock still, too. Astronauts of Apollo 11. First on the Moon jigsaw puzzle. 2001, A Space Odyssey. Stanley Kubrick. He knew he would get his name in here somewhere. And that's why some people say that he filmed the fake moon landing footage. The fake version. I'm not going into conspiracy theories, I'm just saying. Oh wow. Okay. I have that same G.I. Joe lunchbox. I still have that. Snoopy continues to be the mascot of the Spaceflight Awareness SFA program. That's cool. And check this out. You got a Snoopy plush toy. Ooh, I hear Star Wars. Hold on. Pause for the Star Wars. That's awesome. Snoopy. Snoopy's a part of space too. Look at that. There he is right there. Reminds me of Bella. Even got some comic book strips here with Apollo 16 and Snoopy. All right, here we go. Look at this. Wow. Now we're seeing some stuff. And look behind me. We've got spacesuits. This is glorious. And this is the Mercury spacesuit. Look at this. Got the gloves and the boots down there. It says right here on the sign it was originally invented for Navy pilots to wear on high altitude flights. The Mercury missions did not include spacewalks, so the suit's main function was to provide oxygen if the cabin lost pressure. And here's a picture of some of the first astronauts right there wearing the same suit. Now this is like the space suit I think of more the modern version. This is the Apollo commander suit. This is the suit that would have walked on the moon, and here's a picture over here. Richard Gordon Jr. or Dick Gordon Jr. The Apollo model A7L suit was engineered with specialized materials specifically needed for moon missions, such as an integrated life support system and boots for walking on the lunar surface. This suit was made for Richard Gordon Jr., who was slated for the Apollo 18 mission, which was canceled. The red stripes were to identify Gordon as the mission's commander. Oh man, the suit that never made it to the moon. That stinks. Those are some big engines right there. Look at these bad boys. Looks like people have signed all over it. You can see handwriting. Look at this. People have signed it. It's pretty neat. I wish I could sign it. That'd be cool. Got another one over here. So this is the BE-4 reusable rocket engine. So that is just this right here. That's pretty gnarly. Shows you a scale of how big these things actually are. And here's a video of it actually going off. Imagine standing under that. You wouldn't last long, that's for sure. All right, so this is a 1/10 scale of the space shuttle launch system. Shuttle would go like right here. Pretty cool. It says right down here is the scale 1/10. Mannequin Skywalker. I love what they did there. This is a test dummy for the Blue Origin NS7 for the New Shepard flight experience back in 2017. So here he is right here aboard the NS-14, Skywalker taking in the view of Earth. So Mannequin Skywalker was actually up in space. Now he's here. That's pretty neat. Sam Durrance operating the telescopes at the aft flight deck of Space Shuttle Endeavour. Check this out. You see that computer right there? You see that control panel right there? It's right here before us in front of the Space Lab. That's pretty neat. You can see stuff like this here. There you go. There he is using it. Oh, it's behind him. There it is right there. It's pretty neat. Then and now. Once in space, now in Alabama.
Alabama!
All right, there's just so much to see. I'm going to have to move on. I've barely scratched the surface in here, but there's just so much to see. We got to get going. The hypership. It looks like museum guest, $10. $10 to do the flight simulator here. Looks fun. The hypership. And right here tucked in the corner, you got to look everywhere here. On May 28th, 1959, monkeys Abel and Baker rode in the Army-developed Jupiter nose cone. I think it's this one right here before us. This might be a model, I'm sure it'll say. An altitude of 360 miles and for a distance of 1,700 miles, they successfully withstood 38 times the normal pull of gravity during launch. In a weightless period of 9 minutes, they became the first animals to be recovered alive from a flight into space, paving the way to put the first man into orbit around the Earth. The monkey knots. Here's a newspaper. So a picture right there. And check this out on Life magazine. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I went to the Smithsonian Space Museum in Washington at the mall years ago, and I believe they may have that pod on display there, the actual pod. I think I remember seeing that. All right, as we're making our way around the corner here, we're heading out towards the shuttle park. They have some more simulations that you can do. They have a VR Explorer over here. That's neat. Didn't know you could do that. That's pretty neat. All right, before we head into the sim zone, over here, we have Science on Orbit, International Space Station entrance. Okay, and this is incredible. This is part of the space camp. They utilize this, but this is a mock-up of the International Space Station. I don't know if we can crawl through this, but that would be pretty cool. We start here at the Payload Operations Integration Center. Payload Operations Center. Look at this. Control Center. This is cool. I feel like we're back in like a 90s movie here. What am I looking at? The screen displays the current crew members on board the ISS. Astronauts live and work on the ISS for about 6 months. Then a new crew launches to space and replaces them. You can totally keep track of the International Space Station right here. They got them on the map. They got live video feed. And the control center is just down the street, they were telling me here.
And part in blue is what the United States built.
Okay, that's the other countries.
And this is Canada. They built the Canada.
Oh, the little one. That's cool.
It's very important though. But most of it was built with the space shuttle program.
Yeah.
Because it had such a big payload area.
That's awesome.
So if you want to here, all this out in here is where the space camp did the missions, but this is a mock-up of the space station you can go through.
That's so cool.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, I'm excited. I guess they postponed the Artemis. I think it's going to be March now. I just got word of that. I had no idea. Last time I checked, it was still on, so it's because of the weather. Makes sense. This is so cool. What's in here? Oh my gosh. It's a water tank. Oh, there's someone diving down there. Someone's training. That's incredible. Can we do this at space camp? That would be so much fun. Check out that module there. I think they're using that for space camp. People are coming in and out of it. That's for training. That's so neat. We're in space. There's a moon rock down there. See it? This is so neat. This is way better than Kennedy Space. No, I didn't say that. And we board the International Space Station. Cool. We got monitors up here, video of astronauts. We got more food here, of course. Look at this. What is that? Spaghetti with meat sauce. Yuck. I mean, I like spaghetti. Don't get me wrong, but that looks yuck. Virtual fish rack. They got fish on the International Space Station? Aquatic habitat. I did not know that. Is that what I think it is? I think that's the toilet. Oh man, I'd have a hard time in space. It says press. Whoa! Don't want to get too close to that hole. Oh, she's kind of demonstrating it here.
It's going to be a little bit loud. Here we go. Now you can lift the lid. There is this...
Don't get your face too close to that. Never thought I'd see a demonstration of a space toilet today.
To lift this one as well and use
I'm gonna press that again. Whoa! Caution, urine. Oh, they got it stored somewhere. So it looks like it comes out of there, trickles through here, and they store it in there. It's kind of like the Ghostbusters. A little bit. Okay, well, I can stand up in here. Who knows if I was floating, it might be a different story. This is massive. This is so cool. So yeah, as I was saying when I was a kid, I walked through a piece of the International Space Station at NASA back when they used to let you walk through the lab. That was always something I remembered. We'll look out here. It's the rest of the space station. So this would be space, and that's the station. Go figure. All right, it kind of feels like Star Wars right here a little bit. Check it out. Look up. It's space. Like how immersive this thing is. I didn't know they had spiral staircases on the International Space Station. Look at that. I think they just put that in here. Heading over to this portion of the space station. Ooh, we can play. Look at this. Gym Robotics Station. I don't think I'm actually doing anything, but these are mock-ups of the controls, and they have videos here. Here you go. This is what I'm moving. You've got this like robot here. This place is perfect for kids and big kids. Just stuff to push. Just turning all this stuff on. Bioluminescence bacteria. Ah, I hope I don't get it. Robonaut 2, the first humanoid robot in space was Robonaut 2. R2! That's cool. Let's see what they did there. R2 was launched to the International Space Station in 2011 aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery to work alongside astronauts. Made by GM. Here's a video of R2 right here on the International Space Station. Look at that. Alright, we're exiting the International Space Station. We're kind of walking beside it now. Looks like the cafeteria is over here to the right. Wow. Shows you how large it is. We get to walk through just a portion of it. That's amazing. There's the front of the Discovery right there. This is so cool. So if you come to Space Camp, you get to play all over this. I have to look at that. I wonder how much it cost. Alright, so here's some video footage of Space Camp. It's pretty amazing. So this is what they do in Space Camp right here. They're right over here on these contraptions hanging outside the International Space Station. That's amazing. Alright, I really want to go to Space Camp. Yeah, they're hanging right there on the video. Dream big, that's right. Your mission begins here. Spacecamp.com. Ooh, I smell food. We got the cafeteria. The Space Camp Crew Galley is where Space Camp trainees enjoy their meals during space programs. So if you come to Space Camp, this is where you'll eat your meals. Oh no, I should have brought my umbrella. It's pouring out there. Oh no, I didn't think it was gonna rain. I'm just glad it's not snowing anymore. So it's just like a school cafeteria, Space Camp. And over here is where they turn in their food, right through their biodegradable food and waste recycle station. We are continuing along. It looks like we're gonna walk over to the Apollo rocket portion, because I don't think we can, I think we might have to go outside. I'm not so sure. So the rain got worse. I decided to go back to the car, get my umbrella, and get my coat. How did I miss this? Discovering Mars? Robot Explorer? Okay. Check it out. It's a Mars rover. I remember seeing some of these at Kennedy Space Center. This is the Curiosity. The Curiosity rover was part of Mars Science Laboratory mission, landed on Mars in Gale Crater using revolutionary sky crane landing system. Holy crap, this was actually on Mars. Got these displays, these monitors going off with a presentation describing the instruments. This is called the InSight. The Martian lander InSight was the first mission to focus on the inside of Mars, the planet's crust, mantle, and core. InSight had two major goals. Learn more about rocky planets by studying the planet's interior structure, and determine how geologically active Mars is today by measuring Marsquakes and how often meteorites impact the planet. We need you. Farmers wanted. Work the night shift on Mars moon. Mars explorers wanted. I always think of Total Recall. Get your ass to Mars. The Sojourner, the tiniest Mars rover, was the first rover to explore Mars. Nested inside the Pathfinder lander, Sojourner touched down in the Ares Valleys region. tiny little rover. I don't know if that's the actual one. I think these are all replicas. It's not really saying. I don't know. These could have went to Mars and back. Martian blueberries. Check this out. I think these were actually on Mars. You can barely make them out there. Would you like to know what a Mars blueberry might feel like? Oh, okay. They got a little touch thing here. It's hard as a rock. It's hard as a rock. Martian blueberries. Searching for the past life on Mars has always depended on proof that Mars was once a wet planet featuring surface water in the form of shallow oceans and possibly rivers. As part of their mission objectives, the Mars exploration rover Spirit and Opportunity sought and found evidence that water was once abundant on the Martian surface. In 2004, the Opportunity rover discovered small round rocks in Eagle Crater near the landing site. These rocks were identical to rocks found on Earth where water once flowed. So these are Mars blueberries, proof that water existed. That's pretty incredible. These are from Mars. There's some big ones right there. Those are some big blueberries. Hurricanes, tornadoes, lightning, floods, hail, drought, and speak of the devil, Alabama weather net. I guarantee there's a lot of rain right now over us. It looks like it. That's funny. Yeah, this whole room is about weather. The weather is very important, and Artemis will be delayed because of the weather. Look at these umbrellas up here. Oh, that's neat. I like that. That's art right there. Inside here is a presentation called The Power of the Twister. From start to finish, experience a tornado for yourself from the safety of this room. Don't tempt me with a good time. Oh, okay, we got rain and lightning. Where'd the cow go? Oh, that's not good. We got Ken Weathers up here, the meteorologist. That looks really bad. Oh no, there's a twister, I see it. Not good. Uh-oh. The walls are shaking. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. Oh no. It's getting louder. We got cows. They're gone. Now it's getting really close. We just took out the forward. Oh no! Lights are out. Almost. They came back on. It's getting so close now. No! We got cows! Oh, lights are out. Alright, it's about to go over us. The seat's rumbling. Oh, this is neat. Takes me back to Twister, the ride days at Universal Studios, Florida. It's getting really close. The seats are vibrating more and more as the Twister gets closer. All right, we might be in the middle. It's gone. I think we survived. We did it. That wasn't too bad. Thankfully, it wasn't real. The cow's back. The cow is back. The cows are back. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time before the rain stops, but that's alright. Oh yeah, it's time for the rocket garden. I tried. It looks like we just follow the rockets along the pathway. That'll take us along the correct path of the rocket garden. Holy crap. This thing is gigantic. NASA's Saturn V was the first American launch vehicle developed solely for space exploration, taller than a 16-story building. The Saturn I launched 10 tons of payload into Earth orbit, first static tested in Huntsville in May of 1961. It says that its payload capacity was 20,000 tons. Dude, this is the Saturn I. We are walking underneath the thrusters. Wow, this is so cool. I'm getting goosebumps on my goosebumps. Rocket Park. I always call it Rocket Garden. It is kind of a garden. I think the Rocket Garden is, I'm getting that one confused with the Kennedy Space Center Rocket Garden. That's the Rocket Garden. This is the Rocket Park. Rocket Power. Who remembers that? We got Saturn V, the fake Saturn V. And here's the Mercury Redstone from 1960 to 1961. It's a lot smaller compared to the Apollo mission, that's for sure. So here's the Saturn V over here, which would be the tallest rocket here. Then you have the Saturn I, and then over here are the rest of the rockets in the rocket park. You got the Juno, Mercury, Jupiter, 2 Jupiters, and the US Army Redstone, which is right here. It's a Mercury rocket. It's the smallest of the rockets out here. These were actual rockets. This is pretty amazing. Really puts things into perspective. I thought these rockets would be a little bigger. I thought they would all be like the size of this one. But the first rockets, they were very, very small. The Juno 2, 1958 to 1961. Oh, that's cool. Check that out. It's a playground for the kiddos. Very space. The US Army NASA Juno 2 was a modified Jupiter rocket with upper stages and payload sections. It's single engine. Here you go. One engine. Just like the Jupiters, could be gimbaled during launch for steering. That's cool. Juno 2 played an important role in the history of spacecraft. In March 1959, the vehicle launched Pioneer 4 on America's first successful lunar flyby mission. Pioneer 4 was also the first U.S. probe to go into orbit around the sun. Wow. And it's sitting right here. That's amazing. And this big chunk of metal here, this is the core stage of the Pathfinder 2016. So this would have been the bottom, just the core stage of one of the shuttle launchers. The Pathfinder. I think that was the last shuttle, I think, that went up in 2016. All right, bear with me. The rain is getting worse and it's getting colder. We're heading over here. I see the Saturn V building over there. It's huge. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. CH-47D Chinook helicopter, heavy lift transporter. It says the Chinook on display was initially built by Boeing as a CH-47C model. After being delivered to the United States Army in 1969, the vehicle was deployed to Vietnam, where it served with C Company of the 159th Assault Support Helicopter Battalion through 1972. In 1973, the Army loaned the vehicle to Air America, a passenger and cargo airline covertly owned and operated by the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. It flew missions in Laos and in support of the CIA operations during the Vietnam War before being returned to the Army in 1974. If this helicopter could talk, I'm sure it's seen some stuff, you know what I mean? Holy moon crater, look at this. Wow. It's a replica of the moon, the surface of the moon. You even got footprints down there. Look at that. And you got the lunar module out there with a flag. That's really neat. It looks like normally we'd be able to walk out on this portion of it. Looks like they used to let you walk down there. That would be so cool to take some photos down there. How about that for the gram? One small step for man, one giant leap for YouTube. We've got rockets on wheels, and I got puddles. Oh. This is the U.S. Air Force SM-65 Atlas F. The Atlas rocket was America's first intercontinental ballistic missile. It was successfully launched in December 1955, originally a weapon delivery system. I think I remember something like this in Spies Like Us. Remember? Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, something like that. All right, if you see someone hauling this around, watch out. We've got all kinds of artillery out here. Army artillery. This is called the Hawk. There's a Huey over there. And this here is a Lance. You just got one giant rocket on this trailer. Can you imagine launching that? I'm sure someone that's watching has launched one of these. Comment below, we want to know more. All right, I'm gonna go over and read the sign. Check this out. You got an astronaut right there. He's outside of the space station. Skylab vehicle cluster. Skylab in pictures. Okay, so this is a part of the Skylab, so it's this portion right here. It looks like first homestead in space. Skylab, the United States' first space station, was occupied from March 25th to 1973 to February 8, 1974 by 3 separate astronaut crews. Experiments were performed to enrich our knowledge of the Earth, Sun, stars, and cosmic space, to study the effects of periods of weightlessness on living organisms, including humans, and to develop space processing and manufacturing techniques. Skylab re-entered Earth's atmosphere on July 11th, 1979, and you guys are looking at it right here. That's amazing. The first space lab. Getting goosebumps on my goosebumps again. He looks like he's made like with plaster. They plastered the astronaut is plastered. All joking aside, this thing is just gigantic. All right, I just got to reach out and touch it. In the town that I was born, lived a man who said, okay, I'm not going to sing the whole song, but yes, little yellow submarine. That's cool. U.S. Army. I didn't know Army had subs. This is the U.S. Army Missile Recovery Submarine. So it's a submarine to go look for missiles. It makes sense. This is the Perry PC-3 Alpha 1. It says it was a 2-man submarine. It was used to locate and retrieve debris from the Atlas, Titan, and Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missiles that were flight tested and targeted into Kwajalein Atoll in the Pacific Ocean. So this was actually used to retrieve missiles, or to locate them so they could retrieve them. I think there's more rockets in the rocket park than at the Rocket Garden back in Florida. Just saying, there's so much stuff to see out here. A nice little history and education of different rockets, not just for ballistics, but for space. Look at this one right here. Now that looks deadly. Oh yeah, it's the Nike. There's so many Nike stations still around America that are just sitting abandoned. I look forward to checking some of those out. The Nike Hercules was the 2nd generation of the Nike family missiles. I know what you're thinking. Nike, like the tennis shoes? I always thought that too, but no. The Nike missiles went in deployment during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And in August 1960, Nike Hercules tracked and destroyed another incoming Nike Hercules at White Sands Missile Range. This marked the first known intercept of Mach 3 missile by a missile. The following month, Nike Hercules shot down another Nike Hercules missile at an altitude of 19 miles, the highest known missile kill. So we were testing the Nikes on the Nikes to make sure the Nikes worked. Just do it. Oh, look at this. They've got a ride here. The Moonshot. It's a drop ride. And it looks like it would be going if it wasn't raining. That's cool. And I think it is additional. So all the rides and the simulators are additional to the cost. Please do not climb. Oh man, I want to climb. Check out the Humvee with the rocket launcher. This is the Avenger, the U.S. Army Avenger. No way. Oh, you're kidding me. That's amazing. It looks like it's blocked off, but that right there, my friends, that is an old school Gravitron fair ride. And it says G-Force. It looks like this was an attraction at some point. I don't know what's going on here. I need to know more. I'm gonna walk up to the fence. It looks like they actually use this for G-Force education. That's a Gravitron force accelerator. So maybe if it wasn't raining, maybe the Gravitron is working. I didn't see this side. All right, you have to be 48 inches to ride, but the force accelerator, aka the Gravitron, is working, and you can ride it right now in the rain. That's amazing. I had to come around to the other side to see what was going on here. Cosmic Apple tree. Alabama astronaut Joe F. Edwards flew the seeds that formed this tree aboard Space Shuttle Endeavour, launched January 22nd, 1998. The seeds traveled with Edwards over 3.6 million miles after 8 days, 19 hours, and 48 minutes of spaceflight at 18,000 miles per hour. Those are going to be some tasty apples for sure. That's pretty neat. Okay, so we're heading towards the Saturn V rocket center over there. It's to the left. That's where the actual Saturn V rocket is, the one that went into space. And this right here is a replica of how it would look if it was standing up. It's so tall, it's got a light flashing up there for spacecraft coming by so it doesn't run into it. See the lights? There they are. I would say this is the main feature. Let's do it. All right, shake out the umbrella there and wipe the feet off. It's a cool rug. Davidson Center for Space Exploration. Okay. All right, nothing yet. Ooh, it's warm in here. Ooh, vending machines. So we begin here. There's a nice display, nice little history of the area. Before we walk out, also there's a video going off right here.
Space exploration since the 1970s. It has educated and inspired countless generations to look to the stars anew through both the museum and its space camp programs. But why Huntsville, Alabama? How did a small southern town come to be known as the Rocket City? Well,
good question.
This is that story.
Why Huntsville?
Huntsville, Alabama as it was. A tranquil farming town in the Tennessee Valley, once known as the watercress capital of the world. Then came the Second World War. Uncle Sam called on everyone to aid in the war effort. Huntsville's remote location and easy access to the Tennessee River made it the ideal location for the U.S. Army's Redstone Arsenal. At Redstone, men and women worked hard for their country, building chemical weapons and munitions. As the war came to an end, America entered a new kind of war, a Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union began competing to see who could build bigger and better rockets. Their eventual destination, space. To outpace the Soviet Union, the United States enlisted the help of Dr. Wernher von Braun and his group of German rocket scientists, who had surrendered to the U.S. Army at the end of the Second World War. In 1950, the Army relocated Dr. von Braun and his team to the now vacant facilities of Redstone Arsenal. There, they worked with a group of young American engineers and amped up development on a new ballistic missile that would make sure everyone knew the name Redstone.
Ah.
This is a model of the U.S. Army's Redstone guided missile, the largest American ballistic missile to have reached the test firing stage.
Here's our cool photo opportunity. Look at that. Climb up into the spacesuits.
This is ground control to Major Tom.
All right, I'm not so sure what's going on inside the National Geographic Theater, but we'll check that out after we head upstairs to the Saturn V exhibit. There's also an elevator. I'm gonna take the stairs. It's a really cool ancient airplane there. Reminds me of the Wright Flyer. It all began with canvas wings. And welcome to Saturn V hull. Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. It's the rocket that took us to the moon, dude. I've got so many goosebumps upon my goosebumps. You got President Lyndon B. Johnson looking up at it, taking off. Wow. All right. Amazing. And we've got a lengthy walk underneath or beside the Saturn V. Check it out. 5 thrusters. 5 thrusters. And right here, Spam in a can. Imagine getting in there. We could get in there. It looks like someone dropped their sunglasses there. Uh-oh. Climb inside and get an idea of what the Mercury astronauts experienced in their first flight to space, with a capsule only 6 feet 10 inches wide and just over 9 feet. It is pretty crazy. Oh, they got the controls in here too. Oh, this is cool. I don't want to climb in there. Someone climbed in there and left their glasses, which I have the same glasses with black. Look at that. NASA Deputy Administrator Robert Siemens, Dr. Werner von Braun, and President John F. Kennedy discussing the Saturn I Block II rocket, a model of which the upcoming launch of the rocket would be the first Saturn vehicle capable of sending a payload into Earth orbit. President Kennedy was not able to celebrate this achievement. This photo was taken on November 16th, 1963, only 6 days before the president was assassinated. Inside von Braun's office, as the director of Marshall Space Flight Center, Werner von Braun was one of the best-known NASA representatives from 1960 to 1970. The direction of NASA's space program was discussed and decided in his office, and it served as the backdrop for much of von Braun's public outreach for the program. And it says right here on the desk, on this plaque, that this was actually Dr. Werner von Braun's desk. So this is the one that you see in all those historical videos and pictures. As we're scooting beside, or starting to scoot beside, Saturn V, you've got this awesome display of information. You got a huge timeline right here starting in the 1940s. And this talks about the Rocketeers, right people, right place, right time. And speaking of time, Time Magazine with Mr. von Braun right there. Looks like $7 a year back then for Time. That's pretty cheap. This was February 17th, 1958. Freaking massive, dude. The whole thing's in here. The whole thing. All right, so this module here is from the Mercury. It's a simulator used at NASA's Langley Research Center, gave Mercury astronauts a deep understanding of their spacecraft. That is even smaller than the one we saw over there. So this is from the Mercury. They're right there, Langley Research Center. Coming out of their shells, the Gemini egress trainer. So you got two-person module here for the Gemini. To achieve one of the project's primary objectives, the Gemini spacecraft was designed to facilitate spacewalks. Astronauts were to exit and re-enter the capsule while orbiting Earth. Some pictures right there. Looks like that's Buzz Aldrin in space right there. Wow. Can you imagine just like opening that up for the first time? First man in space. Incredible. All right, we're directly underneath the Saturn V. I'd say about halfway down too. Pretty impressive. This reminds me of walking underneath the space shuttle at Kennedy Space Center, of course. I think you can still do that. Use the Force, Luke. The Force. All right, I don't think this is going. Bummer for us, but it says countdown to the next test firing. I don't know, maybe if we just push this red button, maybe this will do it. I don't know, should we do this?
On track. President Kennedy's goal of going to the moon in this decade is now possible.
Cool. Massive. So massive. So there's different stages. Obviously that's the first stage. This is the second stage thruster. Check this out. Number 2. I wish we could touch it. So this is the Saturn V instrument unit. It's just a giant ring. Inside the brain, the instrument unit was the brain of the Saturn V. In it were all the electronic and electrical components needed to guide the rocket, monitor its vital signs, and control its propulsion stages. I would have never thought it would have been all in this like little ring portion. The brain. Saturn V. Look at this. Can you imagine if something hit that ring? You're done. Mission over. It's pretty amazing. All right, nearing the end, almost to the third stage here. Whoa, one thruster on this one. That's so cool, dude. I'm nerding out. There's so much to see here, too. There's a lot to see in this museum. We got spacesuits over here. All right, although these are backup training suits, but these were for the original Apollo 1 astronauts. We got Gus Grissom's suit. We've got Ed White's. And Roger Chaffley's. I think it's Chaffley. Is it Chaffley or Chaffley? Correct me if I'm wrong. If we die, we want people to accept it. We're in a risky business, and we hope that if anything happens to us, it will not delay the program. The conquest of space is worth the risk of life. Gus Grissom, Apollo 1. To the Moon, sponsored by the Daniel Foundation of Alabama. This is one of the swing arms you see next to the rockets. This is what the astronauts, the pathway they take, or took, to get to the Saturn V. Swing arm number 8, the full-size swing arm before you, was likely built for testing at Marshall Space Flight Center. It was a swing arm designed to connect to the Apollo service module. Wonder how many astronauts actually walked on this one. I'm thinking of Apollo 13 right now. That's cool. Swinging. Always wanted to walk on a swing arm. Look at this, the view back. Massive. And we are at stage 1, my friend. Stage 1. There's the module right on the top. All right, here's a good photo spot here. Apollo 16 command module. Let's read this sign together. Before you stands Casper, the Apollo 16 command module that flew to the moon and back on April 16th, 1972. A Saturn V rocket, Casper, into space. Inside were astronauts John Young, Thomas Ken Mattingly, and Charles Duke. The CM returned safely to Earth 11 days later with its crew and 208 pounds of moon rocks. They brought back some moon rocks on this thing. That's awesome. Check it out, it's on a moon rock down there. Simulated. You can see right here. It burned up as it was coming back through. You can see right here. I think, yeah, I'd say that thing's definitely been in space. Got very hot. Oh wow, check this out. Apollo 12 moon rock. Rock type basalt. Age 3.16 billion years old. That's from the moon, dude. Okay, you can get really stupid close to it. That's impressive. There's also something written down here. Oh, okay, to remember this rock, it was my favorite one. So right here are the Apollo 11 hand casts of Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. And these were cast inside of their gloves. That's pretty rad. Normally see death mask, you never see hand casts. This is a great photo spot right there. You know what to do. Take a screenshot, make it last longer. That thing was in space, boy. That thing was in space. Oh boy. And here we have the Lunar Excursion Module. A big watch, big Omega watch, and the Lunar Rover. Lunar Rover vehicle. Apollo missions 15, 16, and 17 had a significant increase in their payloads when the Lunar Rover vehicle was added. The rover permitted the astronauts to extend the range of surface explorations and increase their stay time on the moon. Because the rover added additional weight to the Saturn V, the engines were modified. This allowed the rocket to boost the extra weight into orbit. There's a picture of a lunar rover and module on the moon, proof that we went to the moon. Was that faked? Nah. Here's a demonstration of how they unloaded the rover from the module. Also, there's an audio tour you can take here. All you have to do is scan the QR code. I'm not one for audio tours, but you can do that. There you go, take a screenshot. make it last longer. Got it. Hopefully got it. It's talking about the movie Space Camp with Joaquin Phoenix, Leah Thompson. It is a classic. That's why I wanted to go to Space Camp. I think that's what happened to every kid, right? With the voice of Neil Armstrong behind us, the rocket that took Apollo 11 to the moon in July 1969. There he is, the original crew. One small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. The words of Neil Armstrong, July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11. And it shows here's the moon. This is right below the module. Look at that, that's cool. This is neat. It shows all of the missions and the lunar modules and where they landed on the moon. We've got a Apollo 12, 14, 16. It's got the name of the astronauts. Apollo 11, the first landing. Armstrong, Collins, Aldrin. 17, 15. So we've been to the moon. We've landed on the moon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And we're going back for number 7, Artemis. It's exciting. Look forward to check that out. So looks like I got word here that they postponed that. It was originally supposed to take off this weekend, but it's going to be March. Hopefully the weather permits them. That's going to be some gnarly video footage. Think about the technology difference. We haven't been back since the 70s, right? Think about what we're going to see. I'm excited. I'm so excited. Check this out. I remember they had one of these at Kennedy Space Center. The Apollo 12 crew was quarantined in the MQF on display shortly after splashing down in the Pacific Ocean. The MQF featured living and sleeping quarters, a kitchen, bathroom, and medical equipment, and an advanced air filtration system. The astronauts lived in the MQF for several days while they were moved to containment quarters at NASA's Manned Spacecraft Center in Johnson Space Center in Texas. So they had to make sure they were good to come back out into open air. So they kept them in the airstream, in the tin can. Oh yeah, we're back in the 60s, dude. Look at this. Wow, this would be cool. Someone's playing Scrabble there. Oh yeah, smells like the 60s in here. No joke. This thing is like not been touched since 1968, right? They haven't even done the dishes. They're still in the sink. Look at the yellow control panel, the orange phone. There's also an audio tour stop here. Quarantine. Presented by Burger King. No joke. Now we know most of the Skylab is outside, but right here we could actually walk into a portion of it. Check it out. America's first Skylab. Look at the seat there. Looks like a dentist chair, right? Oh wow, that looks like an exercise bike there. Wow, this is neat. We're standing in the first space Skylab. Oh wow, look up. Oh, this is cool. This is the manned maneuvering unit. Here you go. This image will show you that thing. Since the Gemini spacewalk, NASA has experimented with methods to move astronauts in space. The manned maneuvering unit, the MMU, was a propulsion unit that was used on 3 shuttle missions to retrieve a pair of faulty communication satellites. It allowed astronauts to be untethered or unattached from their spacecraft while working in space. All right, I'm all the way back down at stage 1, and I am going to exit. Check this out. To the stand-up version of Saturn V. It's still raining out here. So the theater, the National Geographic Theater in there has a nice presentation, a nice video on Saturn V. I'm not going to watch that. I'm remembering it's kind of a similar setup at Kennedy Space Center. You watch the video on the space shuttle, and then you walk out and you see the space shuttle. So very similar. Of course, they are the same entity. Kennedy Space Center, NASA, U.S. Space and Rocket Center, all in cahoots. But I'm gonna say, I'm really enjoying this space endeavor versus the one I had last time in Florida. They're both great. They both have many different things to offer. But the U.S. Space and Rocket Center here, along with Space Camp, for more bang for your buck and a lot more stuff that was in space, for sure. All right, had to actually walk back in the building and come downstairs to access the bottom of Saturn V here. We're gonna walk underneath it. It's gonna shelter us from the rain. I am direct. Whoa! Check out the acoustics in here. That's amazing. You hear that? I don't know if it's coming through on the video. Echo. You can have a picnic under the Saturn V. That's awesome. It says the Saturn V in front of you is full-scale model of the Apollo Saturn V vehicle since its dedication on July 17th, 1999. The model has become an iconic and celebrated landmark for Huntsville and its skyline. I could see it miles away, all the way from downtown Huntsville, coming down the interstate. Okay, rain, go away. Come back another day. We're almost back to the main building. Actually, we're gonna go in this way. It's a very space age era building, isn't it? Very mid-century. This building is just awesome. Check out the 4 columns. They're like pyramid shape out there in the center of the floor. I love buildings like this. Big wide open space. We're continuing this way. The sign says planetarium, discovery theater, gift shop, restrooms, museum exit. What do you guys think? Enjoying the tour? Are you gonna come check it out yourselves? I think you should. This was only, what? About 4 hours from Pigeon Forge. And we meet again, gift shop. I think I need a souvenir. That was a great time. I gotta remember it with a souvenir. I really like this NASA hat, the trucker hat. Very old school. How about this all black one? Cheaper, what do you think? Looks good, huh? Goes with my jacket. Sold. They actually have Artemis merchandise, and look at that. It's Snoopy. U.S. Space and Rocket Center, Snoopy. It's got the moon there. This is a hoodie. I wonder if they have this on a t-shirt. Artemis, U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and you got Snoopy right there. Oh, neato. These are $27.95. And then, oh wow, it's a rocket mug with Snoopy. I love that. I had no idea before I got here that they use Snoopy as their mascot. This is a cool t-shirt commemorating the Rocket City, Huntsville, U.S. Space and Rocket Center. Very retro. And they even got a t-shirt for the CH-47, the Chinook. And we survived! That was fun. That was an educational, exciting, thrilling, adrenaline-rushing experience. That is better than I knew it was going to be good, but that was better than I thought it would be. That was so much fun. What do you think? No offense to the Tampa Bay Lightning, go Bolts, but I think this one is more appropriate. I like it. I'll add it to the channel. Why not? Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to end it right here in the parking lot, in the rain. Check out the U.S. Space and Rocket Center's website again in the description below for all the finer details, all the questions. Also, feel free to ask me down there in the comment section. I am leaving here. I have almost a 4-hour journey until my next stop, my hotel. Tomorrow, I am doing something I've always wanted to do. As my good friend Adam the Woo used to say, it's bucket list. I am so excited about tomorrow, and I just want to, no spoilers, but I just want to put that out here. So I hope to see you there. As I always say, much ahead. We've only just begun. I am so excited about the future with you guys, the future of this channel together. We've only just begun. That's all I'm gonna say. That being said, please know that you're awesome, know that you're loved, and no matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, yes you, no matter all of that, just know that there's always much ahead. It all began with 2 brothers in a bicycle shop And the rest was history. The Wright brothers. And here we are today. Amazing. And there it goes right there. Next time I hope to do the Gravitron. Next time I'll feel better. For sure. And it won't be raining. Bye guys. Be safe out there. I'm going to put you down and be safe myself. Got a long drive in the rain. Happy little trees. Super dope.